Welcome, everyone. This is Coffee with the founder, James. I got it right this time. I'm Beck Bamberger, and on our little podcast, not with actual journalists because we did that before, but this one, which is with founders, we talk to great, crazy founders who are doing the game of being a venture backed startup and hearing about the trials and tribulations and how your psyche exists in doing such endeavor. And it's a lot. And with us today is, should I say, Dr. James,
Yeah,
founder and CEO of Crow Industries, doing a lot in the defense tech space. My goodness, James. My goodness.
trying,
Trying,
trying.
trying, and specifically works on the development, the deployment of things for extreme situations, polar, maritime, volcanic, space uh, systems that need tough equipment in order to succeed in the defense space specifically. So, very excited to have you here, James. We have a great time as always.
Thank you.
We were
Yes,
like
of
all
course.
the good stuff and everything. So why don't you tell us a bit about what Crow Industries is doing?
Okay.
Give us a
Yeah.
little
So I'm
view.
what we're doing today, or what we're all about long term,
Yeah,
a little bit of
however you want to take it. Yeah,
okay, okay. So we build.
because I know, by the way, it's different from like today versus the long, long term.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Okay.
environmental robots have lots of things to do. So go ahead.
So at Crow Industries, we build low cost, high capability unmanned ground vehicles, UGVs, for the battle space. So tactical battlefield operations, where think the front lines where the soldiers need the most help. And our big goal in the defense space is to build the world's best battlefield assistance for frontline soldiers, but then go beyond that, and where you have the FLOT, the forward line of troops, we want to
Mm,
replace that with the floor, the forward line of robots, where
mm,
ahead of your human troops, you have a line of robots disrupting the enemy positions and giving our our guys the outsized advantage. So
mhm.
that's what we do today. The whole reason we exist is to build robots to go places people should not. My background is I'm a space nut. That's
Yes,
what I
you
really,
are.
really care about, what I love about more than anything. And so the battlefield is very similar to places like the moon, where there's no GPS, there's very limited comms, very
Yeah.
harsh environment. And so we are building out our tech stack to be the first ones to industrialize the moon and Mars when Starship comes online.
How exciting. How
That's
exciting,
us
James.
in a nutshell. Yeah.
That's very exciting. Okay. So what a time to be in defense as the
Yes.
industry. It's a burgeoning time. It's kind of a good time. You're based in Phoenix. How does that and with that overview of like, okay, but and then the long thing is to be like on Mars, be on
Mm.
Saturn even and so forth. And this is like maybe decades out in the sphere of what you're thinking about. How does it sit with you today being in like defense tech? Because I want to explore that a bit with, and I have been with founders who are like, yeah, you're building, military stuff. Are
Yeah.
you fine with it? How do you reckon that?
It's interesting because so I will say, if I'm being honest, um, space is my first love, and that's what I really care about. That's what I get most passionate about. And so but I like honestly don't really care too much about orbital. Um, Planetary surfaces is what I get most excited about.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
there's no lunar Martian market till Starship gets online. And so I see building out the defense space and helping out the terrestrial mining industry is kind of a bit of a side quest for
Yeah,
our company as a whole. But I still believe in a very strong national defense. I think it's mandatory if we want to keep our way of life, which I like the Western way of life and want to maintain it. And strong
mhm,
defense is part of that. So I think it fits within my personal ethos. A lot of people in the robotics and space sectors are more on the humanitarian side, I would say, where
mm,
they got into scientific research to help humanity, not so much. And I do think, obviously, that defense tech helps humanity in many ways, but there is
yeah,
often that back and forth of, um, in order to protect what you hold dear, you do have to um, combat, literally, um, people who wish you harm. And so that
Yeah.
is like a very complicated, or not complicated, complex conversation on where your lines are, what you're willing to do, and things like that. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Now, you did a PhD in systems engineering,
Oh, yeah.
so you are a doctor. I'm a doctor too, but mine's in a definitely more squishy arena of sorts. How did you think of going out of academia into then a venture-backed startup, or was this the whole lineage that you wanted to pursue?
It was the whole lineage, to be
Okay.
honest. Like, so I came up with the name Crow Industries when I was like 11 years old. It's what I've always like. Yeah, yeah, literally
Oh,
always wanted to do it. Yeah.
ah,
So I was like sitting in class sketching robots when I was like 11. I'm not even kidding.
wow,
Even before that. So I was just obsessed
wow,
with Star Wars from like 5 years old, and
love it.
was fundamentally upset that that was not my life and that was not like normal everyday life.
Uh-huh.
And so that's where like I came up with Curve Industries as a child, and a lot of my decisions throughout my life were based on either that or being the first man on Mars, and which I feel like dovetail into each other in a lot of ways. And so that was just like, if I'm not, I have a friend, I have a couple friends that
Yeah,
I went to kindergarten with that they're still like, oh my God, you were talking about this way back then too.
yeah.
So, yeah, this is just like part of me. Um, so it's always been kind of a fundamental thing. But I felt like I didn't quite know enough to be able to do that straight out. So,
Mm,
what I want to do, literally nobody's ever done before,
mhm,
and like nobody's industrialized the moon and Mars,
mhm.
and so there is no roadmap to do it. I did um, believe from even back then that the only way you could do it is having a labor force of robots.
Yeah,
And so building ruggedized robots to go to any environment and thrive in those environments and execute what it needs to be done without any humans on site.
yeah.
I always just knew that that was like fundamentally what we had to build. And so that's what we like our core ethos at Crow Industries is we send robots to go places and do things where people should not go and cannot
Mhm,
do those things.
mhm. I want to go back to the childhood, the 11-year-old James sitting in drawing the robots, because so many people, and I don't think it's necessarily founders, but hopefully this could be of inspiration to maybe some people listening, watching this, like, don't know their purpose, don't know what they should be doing,
Yeah.
stuck in some jobs that, I don't know, or even I will say, actually, exited founders, let's say, and they're going like,
What do I do now?
what do I do now? Because of course you have
Yeah.
founderitis, so you gotta do the next thing, but it's like they're lost and they're grasping out there because they don't have this, and something I go back to that I talk with people about is just go like, "Well, what was it when you were a kid, under 10 years old typically, that
Mm,
you loved? Like, what was that
mhm,
thing?" Because I'm just of the belief that there's something from way back when in your childhood that just spoke to you, whether it was
mhm,
trucks or fashion or painting or whatever it is that you were just so dang into. And then maybe things change perhaps, but you're one of the lucky ones, James, where you stayed on that trend. You stayed on, you did the whole dotted line. What do you think about that as advice for folks, or what would you say?
I mean, yeah, you're 100% right. Like my thing has always been outer space. I was always the space
Mm,
kid, the space
mm,
nut. Like
mm.
everybody
Love it.
knew me as that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and even amongst some of my space friends, like in undergrad, like I was the space guy because I was just
Wow.
like,
Even
I
in the
was,
space group, you were still the space
yeah,
guy?
yeah. I was the president of the space club in
Wow.
undergrad. I co-founded it with a couple friends,
Wow.
and yeah, so I was always like, I don't
Dang.
know, but it came from like this unrelenting obsession, truly,
Yeah.
of just like not being able to accept anything else for myself. And
Yeah.
I
Isn't that rad?
that sounds great in some ways, but it's also torturous in other ways because it's like
Yeah.
if my if my obsession was like a proven path that dozens of people even had done before,
Right.
then it would be much easier to stomach. But the
Mhm.
fact that like the life that I want to build has literally never been done before is just that's part of the appeal, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I've always wanted to like be I my heroes are like all the explorers, like Shackleton and stuff, where they
Yeah. Oh,
went and did something that no one's ever done before.
yes.
Like that's always what I wanted. And it's like if I found out somebody had done something, I was like, my interest in that thing had always like dive bombed. It's like I wanted to be the first to do certain things. I always wanted to be the first man on Mars since I was a little kid. And
Dang.
I
Dang.
think the prospect, I mean, nobody's ever done it. No, still no
That's
one's
true.
been on Mars yet.
Not
But I
yet.
think
In our
just what I
lifetime, though,
love about
James.
the industry, I think the prospect of me being that person,
Yeah.
being the first, is less. But I can still be known for being responsible for industrializing the solar system so that the average everyday person can live on any planet. And I'm okay with that.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So is this your pitch to employees or people talent that you wanna hire?
Cool. Yeah.
How do you entice people? Because I think when you have such a, like, childhood dream that's coming into fruition, it's very romantic, and you're doing
I,
space, which is fun, but I'd be curious,
yeah.
what do you do with talent that you're trying to poach or
Um,
get or
so
attract?
in our main office, we have it just says company vision with our logo on it, and it was basically a brain dump I did when I first founded the
Mhm.
company. And the first sentence is Crow Industries exists to expand life throughout the universe. Even though we focus on robots and we build robots, the whole reason we do that is these inanimate objects are exist to for the benefit of humanity, right? And beyond humanity, just life in general, like the Earth life is the only life that we know of in the universe.
Mhm.
It would be wonderful if that was not true, that it was the only one, but it's the only one we know of.
That we
And
know.
so, if that's true, then we have a responsibility to expand that life because I think life is something special fundamentally in the universe, and I
Mhm.
want to help expand that. So, that's where it really comes down to. And then the rest of it is just how do we actually go about doing that? It has a quote in there by Lao Tzu: "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single
Yeah.
step." And so we
Yes.
have to. It's fine. Well, it's well and good to have all these like visionary aspirations and wanting to do all these exciting things, but you have to be able to do it in a logical way that actually makes sense. Like I know countless space startup founders who have all these big grandiose ambitions and
Mhm.
they're out of business now because they didn't
Yeah.
actually have a real business model to build something out and do something for real. And I think that's why we are going to succeed is because we're making traction in terrestrial markets because we know that what we're building now is going to feed forward to the future,
Mhm.
but we still have to build like start with the fundamental basics of business and make profits and like generate
Make
income.
money. Yes, yes.
Exactly. Right.
Okay. So you're touching on something that gets lost in the sauce with I
Okay.
think a handful of founders, which is just like it's so grandiose, it's so big out there, but the actual oper- operas, operating of it, the organization of it, the how does this make money part of it is kind of out the door. And
Yeah.
so, despite you having a wild vision and that's so prominently portrayed at the company, you seem to have the brass tacks type of stuff that needs to actually get it and get it done, such as well, we need to have Department of Defense contracts here. We need to have these things happening. We need to be on land
Mhm.
here in the earth for right now. How do you so my question then is how do you balance because I see that the James and the childhood dream and like let me be on Mars with the okay, we got to run payroll tomorrow. Like how is the balance
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
of that for you?
Yeah, I mean, well, I will say I was not always good at that. So
Ah,
I was always like that big aspirational
yeah.
visionary. But it was this like obsession with this vision of what I wanted to achieve and not willing to relent on that.
Yeah.
And quite, to be perfectly honest, a slow process to kind of come through to like where we are today. So
Mm,
I started the company like 7.5 years ago, but I say the first 5 years was me banging my head against the wall trying to figure out how do we industrialize Mars.
yeah.
And
Mm,
so it was really, and then to be fair too, like I had gone out and done some investor pitches, but I felt fundamentally um, dishonest almost of
mm,
like I didn't want to raise investor capital if I didn't have a really solid, strong business model going forward.
mhm.
And so I pitched a few investors and was just like didn't feel like it was there yet. So that's where I was like, I'm not willing to go raise capital until I actually know what we're
Yeah.
doing. And so I can have a very,
Good.
I can at least confidently say that I'm going to give you 1,000x return on your money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and so that happened. That clicked for me. Um, 3 year or 2 years ago, no, 3 years ago, because then after that I like actually had a really solid, what I thought was solid business model in my head.
Mm,
And so then I started like going out and pitching and stuff like that. And then from there we got into Techstars, we did the Techstars accelerator,
mhm,
and then from there we raised a pre-seed round,
mm.
and just on the idea, the vision,
Yeah.
and that's allowed us to build our first three prototypes and get into revenue since then. So,
Wow. So how many years did you say? 4 years? 5 years? Banging your head?
oh, 5 years
Yeah.
roughly. Yeah.
That's a lot of
Because
time for
I
head
founded
banging.
it as a, we were, yeah, I mean, I founded the company as a lunar mining company. And I don't know if you recall at the time, or maybe not, around 2018, there was this big push to the moon.
Yes, there
Um,
was, and then
Yeah,
mm,
so the Artemis
yeah,
Accords had just been announced.
yeah,
Space Force was
yeah,
formalized, and then Elon announced what is now called Starship.
yep,
And so there was this big push to the moon. Um, and so I felt like that was kind of like this, oh, it's happening. But if you've been in the space industry long enough, there was a space mining boom back in like 2010 to 2012 as well that
mm,
also
mm,
died off. So it's like two different cycles,
mm,
but I
mm.
feel like this time around, it feels a little different.
Okay, because that
Uh,
was my next question is what is the
yeah,
different thing? Because this
sorry.
is green tech had the same thing, and now we're in this climate
Mhm.
mode where it's like, okay, the technology, it seems like, is up
Yeah.
to par to actually be cheaper, better, faster, and so forth. Is it the same thing that happened with space, would you say, and why is it different?
Yeah, no, I love that you touched on the green space, because
Mhm,
when I was at NASA, a lot of research projects I did were climate research. So it's
mhm,
really, that's near and dear to my heart as well. Um, But yeah, I think really, if you want to operate on planetary surfaces, Starship is mandatory. If you want to do it at industrial scale, and I genuinely believe that. I think other companies like Astrobotic are doing fantastic things. Intuitive Machines, like iSpace, the small lunar landers. I root for them. I hope they're successful. But if you really want to do anything on like a massive scale, you have to have Starship. And
mm,
so that's what we're banking on, is that Starship is successful, because once that starts doing regular trips to the moon and Mars at the price that they're saying they want to get down to, then it is going to change the game. It's like 1,000x increase in capability, roughly two orders of magnitude up in volume and mass capacity, and an order of magnitude down in cost. And so it's literally going to
mm,
change so many things. Um, but I think, I mean, the Starship test flights are all very cool and inspiring. I still think they're 5 to 10 years away from like doing regular flights to the moon and Mars,
mhm,
and like reliable flights where they're like pushing them out on a consistent basis, kind of like how they're launching Falcon 9s right now.
mhm,
Um, so we as a company are like racing to meet that. So we
mhm,
want to have our tech stack built out so that we have the best and low cost um, intelligent robots to be that labor force, so that when Starship starts going, we can put a few hundred on the moon, and build out the mines and the land development, construction, and all that stuff.
and to clarify for maybe those who maybe don't know or something, it's like the
Yes.
moon. What are we doing on the moon? Like, well, there's a lot of there's helium on there, there's some water ice, like there's stuff that
Yeah.
we could be there's things for us to use basically, but it's like
Yes.
getting it and then
Yeah.
coming it back is a bit of it. Like, okay, titanium's up there, but
I mean, to be
that's hard.
perfectly honest,
Yeah.
very little of what you mine on the moon you're going to bring back from the moon.
Mm,
It's going to be for use in space.
mhm,
So, if anything, you're going to export it to Earth orbit. You would not be necessarily exporting it to Earth's surface.
mhm,
So, the primary thing that you're going to mine, in my opinion, which is there's others that disagree with me, as you alluded to with helium 3. Um, is my opinion, the primary thing you're going to mine is oxygen. So
mm,
in the lunar regolith, roughly from the Apollo missions, we assume that roughly the first like 10 meters of the mare are lunar regolith, and that's about 40% oxygen. and
Mhm.
you're not mining that to breathe. You are mining
Yeah.
that for rocket fuel. So, like for example, Starship, 70% of Starship's fuel is liquid oxygen, and so you can think of it like
Hmm.
the oil industry in space. So
Yeah.
that's what you're actually mining on the moon.
Huh.
Helium-3 is something you would certainly mine as a byproduct, but
Mhm.
you literally have to process millions of tons of
Oh
regolith in
gosh.
order to get a significant amount of helium-3. And
Mm.
so you're not going to do that as your primary product. You're going to do that as a secondary
Mhm.
or tertiary.
Lots of opportunities for the moon
Yeah.
and why we're going there. Hmm. How do you I mean, I love it. You're making me space excited, James. I
Let's
like
go.
it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Is it hard? Obviously, I haven't asked this on anybody else for this podcast, but is it hard for you being on here on like the Earth? Like, do you feel like agitated in a sense? Maybe that's a weird question.
Um,
Or limited?
I
Like,
I feel unfulfilled, certainly.
oh,
I feel like I
okay,
haven't
yeah,
I mean, the little glimpse into my psychosis is
yes. Let's bring it, James. That's why we're here on this show.
whenever we have wins within the company, it's very hard for me to celebrate. Like obviously I try to as much as I can and I do like I'm getting better at like patting myself on the back
Yeah.
for getting across certain milestones and stuff like that. But my first thought is always we're not on the moon yet. And like we're not on the moon yet. I say that all the time. And so like I literally will say to
That
my
was
team
rad,
for
but
like
we're
some
not on the
reason,
moon
I was
yet.
like, yeah, I was like, well, we gotta still gotta get to the moon. Let's go, guys.
In
So
a way, though, how inspiring because
sure.
it's like the mission is not done. We just got that.
Yeah, yeah.
We just did
But
that.
even like, to be fair, like people always talk about your going after your dreams and things like that. And like once you achieve them, then there's nothing else on the I was like, I always got a higher mountain to climb. Like once we get on the moon, I'm gonna want to go to
Mars.
Mars. Once we go to Mars, I'm gonna go to
Right.
Titan. Once we go to
Yep.
Titan, go to Europa and like all those things. Once we are on
There's a whole universe, James.
I know that's literally why it says Crowell gets to expand life throughout the universe. Like we got other star systems to
We
conquer too.
we
There's
we
always
got
going to be
plenty,
something else.
plenty in this lifetime. James,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard such an expansive, unending mission. Truly, because yeah, you'll never be done.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
always more
great.
universe to conquer. Yeah.
God, I there we ended there. That's it. That's it.
Okay,
I
sure.
mean, God. James, thank you for
I'm just
being
getting
here.
started. We could talk.
Oh, we could be here forever, but the whole podcast is not. Dr. James Crowell, thank you for being on today. You're founder CEO of Crow Industries. You've been thinking about this since you were 11 years damn old. My God, James, keep it up. We got a whole universe to go to.
Let's go.